I'm joined now by Congressman Jared Moskowitz. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So right now we are in the midst of a battle on whether or not to keep the government open. Republicans, of course, have the majority in the House, the Senate, and the White House, and yet they are engaged in this all-out assault, even as we're waiting to see whether the government stays open or shuts down, in blaming the Democrats. So is it the Democrats' fault that the government is on the verge of a shutdown in a government where Republicans have the majority?
Well, look, Democrats want to keep government open. We're always the party that wants to keep government open. But newsflash to my Republicans, we lost, right? They won the House, they won the Senate, they won the presidency. They have more votes on the Supreme Court. I've never seen a winning team blame the losing team more. I mean, can you imagine after a football game, the winning quarterback comes out and says, yeah, we won, but the losing team, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, look, we want to keep government open. We want to work with them, but that's not what happened. They did this go it alone strategy, and now it turns out they don't have the votes to get it done. And so we're ready to work with them. I'm ready to go back to Washington to help keep government open. Democratic senators are willing to work with them to keep government open, but that's not what they want. They want us to take the bucket of shit that they passed and swallow it, and we're not going to do that. That's not how bipartisanship works. So we want to keep the government open, but they won. If they can't keep it open themselves and they want to work with us, they got to come to us with a bipartisan solution.
And I want to dig into exactly that. What did they bring forward, and what would working with these Republicans look like? What would they need to compromise on to garner Democratic votes?
Well, listen, how about they just take my amendment? Let's start there. I filed an amendment. The amendment was very simple. It said nothing in this CR gives the administration any ability to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. They wouldn't take the amendment.
Yeah.
Wouldn't take it. There were no tricks. It was a 3-sentence line amendment. Okay. It was very clear that they would not give any authority to cut Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. And they wouldn't take it. So when we come out and we say this CR is a prelude to those cuts, and they claim, no, that's a lie, then take the amendment. Show the American people that's not true. But they wouldn't, because they don't want to take those cuts off the table. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get these tax cuts through and balance that, pay for that,
right?
Tax cuts to the wealthy by taking from people from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Well, you know, the irony of all of this is that they're using these cuts to earn benefit programs as a way to offset the cost for the $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. But even still, it leaves a massive deficit and will add massively to the debt. And so offset isn't even enough to actually offset it.
And look, they don't have to listen to us. Thomas Massey, who literally walks around with the debt clock, he voted against it. Because he literally said this is going to add trillions of dollars to the debt, which is what DOGE was supposed to be about. DOGE was supposed to be looking at government efficiency and long-term debt management, but that's not what's happened. What's gone on is DOGE has become Project 2025. Everything they're doing is right out of Project 2025. I mean, I at least feel some redemption in that we were walking around with this giant Project 2025 book like the tablets from Moses, and Trump was like, no, we're not going to do that. Meanwhile, it's chapter and verse.
Yeah.
Everything they're doing is chapter and verse right out of Project 2025, and they're doing it under the guise of Elon Musk. By the way, okay, I joined the Doge caucus in Congress, different one from what Elon's doing, because I do think going after waste, fraud, and abuse should not be owned just by the Republicans. 80% of Americans support doing that, but only 34% of Americans support what the Republicans are doing. Why? Because they're not going after waste, fraud, and abuse. They're cutting programs to pay for their tax cut. When Trump was president, there were $670 billion worth of improper payments during those 4 years. They didn't go after any of them. And now they're blaming just Joe Biden. Listen, the debt was accumulated by both parties. It will take both parties to solve it. But what they're doing is they're trying to pay for these tax cuts, adding to the debt, and then they're going to go cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food programs to the poor, food programs to kids to try to give a massive tax cut away.
Well, hold on. You don't think that they're actually going after waste, fraud, and abuse by completely ignoring the Pentagon, which has failed the last 7 audits, but going after USAID, which is responsible for half of 1% of the budget, and CFPB, whose only function is to give billions of dollars back to American taxpayers that were defrauded by predatory financial institutions? You're not buying the whole cutting waste, fraud, and abuse stuff?
Well, look, I'm sure they're finding some waste, fraud, and abuse, but that would be what they found is like you finding 10 cents. And don't get me wrong, millions and billions of dollars is a lot to the American family.
No, totally.
But
But look, we have an institution that the poster child for waste, fraud, and abuse in a bloated military budget.
well, Brian, worse. Hold on, it's worse. They fired the IGs.
Yeah,
they fired
the people whose sole job it was to root out waste, fraud, and abuse within the agencies.
That's exactly right. Those were the people who were finding it and identifying it and writing the reports for the IG and for the GAO to find all the waste, fraud, abuse. They fired all of those people.
Can we talk about the Social Security Administration, the fact that the Trump administration is now looking to cut the phone service for Social Security Administration? Now, obviously, we know that Social Security is on the chopping block as far as Republicans are concerned. They've been chomping at the bit to eliminate Social Security, to privatize Social Security for years and years and years now. But they're taking kind of a roundabout way at doing this. And so, what are the implications of not just going for the agency itself, but doing something like cutting the phone service?
Right. Well, let me say what they're doing here. Okay. So first of all, anyone who knows about dealing with Social Security is like anytime you have a name change or a death or you move an address, okay, you basically have to get on the phone. It's almost impossible to do that online. You got to work through these problems. Oh, by the way, that population that has to do with it, not really computer proficient, right? Yeah. So they do this a lot on the phone. My office and every congressional office does a lot of casework, Republican, Democrat. We spend more time trying to help veterans and seniors get their checks out of the government because there is inefficiencies, by the way. We fix those inefficiencies by getting people on the phone that help us that work for the government, okay? The reason they want to cut that is not because there's going to be some massive savings and they're going to bring in some AI nonsense or tell people to go to the computer or get everybody a Tesla robot, okay? What they're doing is this is how they're going to cut Social Security. Here's a way. Because if you can't fix the problems, you're not going to get your check. And if you don't get your check, we're cutting Social Security. This is a hidden Social Security cut. It is the first way they're going to do it by getting rid of phone service. And every senior out there needs to be calling their representatives, the Republicans specifically, and telling them they cannot cut phone service to Social Security.
So what are the implications for a district like yours? I mean, you represent Boca Raton. I think there's no.
Yeah, we're known for our nursing homes and our bagels.
Yeah. So what are the implications for a district like yours in terms of seeing what they're doing, and also specifically, look, I know that as we look toward Florida, it's not exactly a liberal bastion, despite Democrats' best efforts over the last nearly 3 decades, but there are a lot of Republican senior voters in that state, and so what have people been saying out of that state with regard to what's happening to Social Security?
Oh, it's devastating. Okay, it's absolutely devastating to do that. And my residents are focused on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. These are the red lines for a district like mine. And by the way, Republicans are going to Elon Musk, okay? And they're saying, hey, Elon, while you're doing these, don't close the Social Security office in my district. So they're keeping this stuff open in Republican districts, closing in Democratic districts, so much for the weaponization of government. But let me say this. People might not know this. Donald Trump almost won my district. Donald Trump only lost my district by 1.5 points. Okay, so Kamala won it by 1.5 points.
Yeah.
Okay, Ron DeSantis won my district in his reelect by 1.5 points. And I won by 4.5 to 5 points in each of those elections. My district is the most competitive district in Florida. Republicans are coming after me. The NRC is coming after me. And so this is a moderate district I represent, and people are outraged over what they're doing about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And then you get to the Republican sides of my district. And by the way, they're outraged about what he's doing to the stock market, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah. Well, to that exact point, I do want to talk about more broadly the economic downturn that we're seeing right now. Can you speak about that in light of the fact that really Trump's entire campaign was predicated on this idea that he's going to be some economic savior, that he understood the pain that people were contending with high rent prices, high housing prices, high grocery prices, the cost of eggs, and not only have those prices not gone down, but the stock market has.
Yeah, right. This is one of the most unbelievable things to have occurred in this first 3 months. Okay, Trump went around the country, right, and he said the price of eggs is too high. Well, they're higher now. Okay, he said the cost of goods and groceries is too high. They're higher now under Trump. Okay, he went around and said the stock market and the economy is not good. Lower now. By the way, the stock market's almost at below 40,000 at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing goes below 40,000. You're talking that it's 4,500 points less than when he came into office, going to 39,000. And then we'll be in a free fall if that happens. And it's not just people who are in the stock market. It's 401ks, it's pensions. Right. It will affect our retirees and our community. Okay. Trump may have said a lot of crazy things from, the podiums around the country. He's going to have dinner with Hannibal Lecter, which I'm still waiting for. Okay. But he never said to America, oh, by the way, a little bit of pain. Right. I'm going to crash the market just a little bit, just a little touch. I'm going to start trade wars, okay, which is going to crash the market, okay? The cost of goods are going to go up, but just for a short period. He never said any of this, and now, obviously, they're trying to flip the script. Quite frankly, you know what we need right now? We need Trump to go to the basement just for like a couple of weeks. Like, find the basement you claim Joe Biden was in and just go there, okay? So to stop the chaos, think about it, right? We're nicer to Russia, Iran, and Hamas. We're talking Hamas now. We're nicer to them. We're being tougher on Greenland, Canada, and the Europeans. I mean, it's total chaos in what he's doing, and the business community is reacting, and that's why you see the downturn in the market.
Really, all he had to do was just nothing. He just had to disappear, coast off of Joe Biden's strong economy, and just do nothing. The stock market was going up. It was at a record high.
Hold on. This is his stock market. In January of 2024, Trump said, as the stock market was increasing, he literally tweeted out, this is the Trump stock market.
In anticipation of his win.
In anticipation of his win. Well, if it was the Trump stock market in January of 24, buddy, it's the Trump stock market in March of 25. This is your stock market. Okay? But look, I want to assuage your fears, Brian. Trump is focused on the right things. Today, he announced tariffs on champagne.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing says out of touch than the president of the United States focusing on tariffs on champagne to the heartland, to the red states.
Right. Just curious, what you think. I mean, you're a millennial, correct?
I am an elder millennial. I think the elders of Zion.
I think the term is geriatric millennial. I think that's the term that we use. I'm just curious what you think happened. What you think the response is going to be from millennial women when they find out that a 200% tariff has been slapped on wine.
Well, listen. When they find out from their husbands that the stock market is gone down, and then they go to the store, and they're the one who see a lot of grocery prices.
Yeah.
Right. So they see grocery prices, and now they're going to see wine and champagne. I mean, literally, I don't know. I mean, but look, all seriousness, this is going to hit suburban America is what you're talking about. Yeah. I mean, as costs go up and people's nest eggs go down in the stock market, which is not what suburban America said they voted for. They were voting for, Trump to go take us into the golden age. We didn't know that eggs would be the price of gold, but that's what he said is we're going to make the golden age of America. Well, by the way, 90 days in, I don't see much of the golden age. I see the stock market in collapse. I see us in a tariff war with our allies. I see us, cozying up to our enemies. By the way, Russia just declined his ceasefire deal. So much for trying to find peace after cozying up to Russia. Everything he's touching right now is not working.
And finally, let's finish off with this because, again, you represent a district in Florida. Florida is no stranger to extreme weather that we're seeing right now that's exacerbated by climate change. Trump's efforts to cut NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, what does that do if we don't have reliable weather reporting to a state like yours?
Well, look, we know Republicans, don't believe in climate change and want to go after it, but we didn't know that they didn't believe in temperature and weather. Yeah. I mean, now they don't want you to know when it's going to rain outside. Right?
It's like object permanence. It's like when you take something away from a baby and the baby doesn't see that it exists anymore. Trump is trying to eliminate.
They have all sorts of new proposals. We're going to do weather by sundial, maybe by the magic 8 ball, or the Ouija board. Perhaps will tell us if it's going to rain today. Look, this is again right out of Project 2025, and let's not leave FEMA either of what they're doing at FEMA. I mean, I'm the only former emergency management director in Congress. I'm doing everything I can to try to save FEMA. Removing FEMA, by the way, will hurt red states way more than it'll hurt blue states. Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Kentucky, where we have massive tornadoes. Yeah. I mean, it'll be devastating to those states because they don't have the budget. But look, this is, again, right out of Project 25. They want to privatize NOAA. That's the proposal from the Heritage Foundation, is to give it to a donor of Donald Trump and privatize all weather. So you'll have to go to a private company to find out if it's going to be sunny or rainy or a thunderstorm. And it's not like we're not having enough trouble with the FAA and planes staying in the air. they want to then privatize the weather that the FAA would rely on. Again, it's total chaos. Democrats need, we look for branding. They have MAGA. We should say chaos. It's chaos. That's what it is. You see it everywhere. It's not just in Washington. It's now in the streets of America. Trump has just led us all to chaos at the moment.
Now, look, we've spoken about the Social Security Administration. We've spoken about the potential or the hopeful, as far as Republicans are concerned, privatization of NOAA. Are they going to be able to accomplish these things? Do they need buy-in from Democrats? Does it have to be some type, or are they able to do it unilaterally? Or is this the kind of thing where they would require buy-in from Democrats in order to make this happen?
Well, Brian, there's a couple of things. Right now, obviously, we don't have the House or the Senate, or the presidency. So we're relying a lot on the courts to slow this down. Okay. But if you said, what's the target? Give me something to focus on. I know it's a long time away. The most important thing we can do right now is to make sure we win the House in 26.
Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries has to become Speaker in 26. We have to get a gavel. The Senate looks less likely just due to the map. We got Democrats retiring. Have to make Hakeem Jeffries Speaker. That is my number one goal as someone who's in a moderate district, someone where the trends are turning more red. I'm a Democrat who can win in that seat. My goal is to win my seat. I got to take whatever votes I got to take and to make sure that Hakeem Jeffries it becomes Speaker. If we can get a gavel, we can undo some of this stuff that's being done now and slow down further stuff. But if we don't get a gavel, in 26, it's 4 years of this with no breaks other than the courts.
Perfectly put. Congressman, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Brian.